And so for the last online video here, we're going to talk about the proximal radial ulnar joint, or sometimes we refer to this as the superior radial ulnar joint, obviously connecting the radius to the ulna. And in this case, we're looking at a convex radius with a concave ulna. So to keep this joint together, you certainly have the annular ligament, which is almost completely circular in shape. That's going to secure the radius to the ulna. But you also have two other structures, a smaller structure right here. That's going to be the quadrate ligament. It almost looks like a cube or a square. So that's a quadrate ligament. And it's also pictured down here. You see the quadrate ligament. Although this makes it look like it's far apart, you have to realize this surface is going to be right against that surface. So it's much more compact, but that's the visualization there. And then you also have this ligament running obliquely or diagonally. That's the oblique ligament, or sometimes called the oblique cord. And so you can see how those secure there. Now with movement, with the ulna that is static or stationary, you have the radius dynamically moving on top of that. It's pivoting on top of that. And what do you think happens to these ligaments as there's pronation or supination? So with pronation, and you can try this now, with your palm up, could pronate and put your palm down. So now you have the radius rolling over on top of the ulna. What effect do you think that would have on those ligaments? And well, unless there's an extreme amount of end range supination or pronation, generally speaking, when that radius rotates on top of there, it's going to shorten or become slackened with pronation. And then as you go into supination, it's going to lengthen fully, especially if you go into end range supination. That's bringing that radius away from the ulna. It may start to further lengthen or become taut. So just to visualize the arthrokinematics a little bit more, I like these pictures from the Mansfield and Newman textbook. So if you were to look at your right biceps in a supinated position right in front of you there, and then you were to pronate, so turn your palm over, it would be rolling, certainly, but we almost look at this more of a natural pivot or a spin type motion. The ulna is obviously fixed, and the radius is moving along that radial notch. So with the pronation, and if you look at this here, the radius is going to start in this more neutral position, and then it's going to move anteriorly, especially more at the shaft as opposed to the head. But you can see that anterior motion. And if you look down at your wrist as you pronate, you'll notice that your distal radius becomes anterior as you go into neutral, and then it swings around almost in a posterior direction as you get into end range pronation. So going back a little bit to the convex concave rule, you have a convex surface moving on a concave surface. So, you know, the roll and the glide are going to be opposite. So even though it looks like a pure pivot or spin motion, there is actual movement. It is actually going slightly anterior and posterior, but the roll and the glide would be opposite. So as you go into a pronation, there's an anterior roll and a posterior glide. And that's the end going through the elbow online videos. So at this point, the next thing you want to do is look into the two videos and the handout related to movement screening. So check out the SFMA quick summary, and then also the FMS 7 test screen. And then this handout is a nice summary of all these materials. And then we'll see you in class. Thanks, everyone.